18th of April every year is being celebrated as the International Day of Monuments and Sites, and also we could call it the World Heritage Day. This is very important that we talk about it because we happen to see some heritage sites dying off, some out of neglect, some out of civil unrest and all of that. So on this day we have the curator, Calabar Museums, Mrs. Evelyn Oswago. Good morning, Madam. So good to have you on the show.
Good morning.
And I also have in the studio with me Mr. Stephen Azili. He's the head research department and chairman of the 2021 Committee on the International Day of Monuments and Sites. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And also beside him is Joseph Dien, head of APU. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let me start with the curator. International Day of Monuments and Sites. Can you take us history line? Let's get to know how it all started.
International Day for Monuments and Sites was first initiated by ICOMOS in 1982, and the UNESCO Convention of the 22nd Convention of UNESCO adopted it. So since then, every 18th April, we celebrate International Monument Day.
Okay.
So, and here in Calabar, we have many monuments and heritage sites.
Okay.
So we do celebrate every year. So this year we have a lot of activities to market. We visit some heritage sites in Calabar, and also there will be a public lecture.
Okay, before we get to that, Madam Curator, let me move to the head of research department. What's the significance of this celebration?
The significance of this celebration is enormous because if you look around, you see that most of our cultural sites, both cultural and natural, sites, have been desecrated, have been neglected. So definitely the job of the museum is to, see how we can protect our monuments and sites, which is our cultural heritage, from being desecrated or destroyed. If you look around, you see that most of the cultural heritage you have, they are not being protected. And that is why most times we now agitate on how government can set up in legislation to see how states can as well protect these sites and monuments, especially even contemporary buildings that have unique designs and excellence, with historical significance. So those are the reasons why we need to protect these monuments and sites. And apart from that, the job of the museum is to see how we can also photograph. We have means of documenting, of protecting these sites. And as a result, we have professionals who are trained in the field of archaeology, ethnography, those in the arts department, the cultural department, and all that. Then the education officers whose job is to educate the public and enlighten them on why these sites should be protected. Okay,
let me find out from Mr. Joseph now. Every year we celebrate this day. We have a theme that would tell all the celebration, and the theme for this year is complex pasts, diverse future. Can you talk to us on that?
Yes, I've looked at the theme for this year, and one simple thing that comes to mind is the memory, the heritage. And we see a country like Nigeria with complex past and very wonderful future, if I may say. In doing this, we see that we need to protect our history, our past, our memory. And by doing that, we try to infuse or to bring what I would call inclusiveness with stakeholders coming together to see how to protect our sites, our heritage sites, and our monuments. And how do we go about this? Is That's one of the reasons we are here, to create awareness and to sensitize the people on the need to protect these heritage sites. We've had a lot of wonderful sites with great historical information that have been destroyed in times of war, in times of crisis. And today, one of the areas we'll be visiting is the Bricksfield prison wall, which information has it that the war, civil war of Nigeria between 1967 to 70 actually saw to the destruction of that wonderful building. There's so much history behind it. And the work of the museum, the duty of the museum in times like this is to educate the people, to sensitize them about the need to protect some of these historical building sites.
Okay. Madam Curator, let me come back to you, Mrs. Osuagu. What is responsible for the deterioration of some of our cultural heritage sites?
A lot of factors play to it. First is lack of funding and care for our monuments, our heritage sites. Actually, we have professionals who can do the work, but you cannot work with your hands without funds. If you look at here in Calabar, we have 4 monuments already declared, and then 5 that is, waiting for the approval from the presidency. Now, out of the 4 we have, apart from Old Regency Museum Calabar, that's the only one that is, I would say, is in good shape. If you go to Ekbebobasi House, it's terrible. Open Alok monolith, the same problem. In fact, that of the monolith, some people even go to the extent of using it to set fire, to use in cooking. So one of the reasons is lack of care for those monuments, lack of finance to restore them, and again lack of professionals, because we need conservators. Though we have heritage officers, many of them have not been trained. At times you'll be employed, you work for many years, no training. So if proper training are being given to the heritage officers and conservators, and enough funds, resources being released for the maintenance of those heritage sites, they will be in good condition.
Okay, let me now talk with Mr. Stephen. Mr. Stephen, you're the head research department. How can we protect the World Heritage Sites?
See, the World Heritage Sites, let me comment now. When we talk of the monuments and the World Heritage Sites, UNESCO have looked at monuments and described them as very important, attractive, or as centers of attraction that attracts tourists, when they come in. Now, like I've said before, to protect these areas, we need a legislation. You understand? We need an extant laws. You understand? Because even in acquisition of objects or items, we need extant laws. We need legislations in doing all that. You understand? So in protecting these natural and cultural heritage that we have, we need all hands to be on deck. Even the community where these heritage sites are found are supposed to be part of the security to make sure that they are not being desecrated or destroyed, because as a matter of fact, there is a little, kind of sensitization. People are not aware of all these sites and monuments and their significance, and that they can generate revenue, as a matter of fact. So the only way we can protect them is to get the community involved, get everybody involved, then carry out a lighting, sensitization campaign, using the media houses, using the community, using everybody. Then the educational department of the National Commission for Museums and Monuments and other persons, to ensure that these monuments are properly protected. So in doing that, that is why today we are talking about the Monuments and Sites Day as declared by ICOMOS. You understand? And I want to use this opportunity to also say that we are going to have a lecture on this topic.
I'll be coming to that.
It's okay.
I'll be coming to that for activity of the day. But let me quickly now move to Mr. Joseph Dien. The place of religion, let's look at it, in the promotion or rejection of some cultural rights for the preservation of our cultural heritage. There's certain religious myths that are counterproductive to the preservation of some cultural heritage.
Yes, in some part of this country, if you go up north, you realize that the museum, cultural sites, and historical sites and buildings, they see it as a no-go area. In fact, there's this word they use. They call it Gidan Juju. They have a kind of stereotyping, and their religion has a role to play in either encouraging them or discouraging them from being part of protecting our heritage sites and monuments. And so, even though we don't have that prevalent in this part of the country, the community, the religious organizations, they all have a role to play in protecting and preserving our heritage sites. And so far, we've not had challenge in that area where religion in this part have hindered or stalled the activities or the work of a museum. It hasn't been that prominent so far.
Okay. Madam Curator, let me quickly find out from you before we do a wrap on this. What's the yardstick in listing a site as World Heritage?
There are lots of factors we consider in doing that. Let me just talk about, we have World Heritage sites, then we also have monuments, national monuments. Like in Nigeria, we only have 2 World Heritage sites at Suku in Adamawa State and Oshun in Oshun in Oshun State. But conditions for it are: 1, before we list a site as a monument, it must have 1, cultural values, historical values, scientific values, educational values, and aesthetic values. Take, for example, National Museum Calabar Regency is a national monument declared in 1959. It has historical values. Most of the decisions about Nigeria were taken in that region. So because of that, it's a monument. Apart from being a museum, it's also a monument. Alok Monument is a monument. It's a national monument. Why? Carving in the stone. Remember the why I said that we don't have history. For that carving in the stone, as at that time, shows that there was history, technology, iron technology at that particular time before the coming of the Europeans. So before any site is declared a monument, it must have something that is, very significant about that particular site or heritage.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Stephen Azili, you are the chairman of the 2021 Committee on International Day of Monument and Sites. Talk to us about the activities to mark today.
Well, usually when we have occasions like this, it's basically meant to enlighten and educate the public on the importance of what we are doing, which is the Monuments and Sites Day. We have several of activities lined up, and one of the most important of them is a lecture to be delivered by an erudite scholar, Professor Idaka of the University of Calabar, on the topic or the theme which says complex past and diverse futures. Then we also organize cultural dances and debates that have been lined up. But unfortunately, in compliance with the COVID-19 stuff, we are trying to limit some of these activities, so that we have to comply accordingly with the COVID-19 rules and regulations. So those are the activities lined up, and we have also informed the CRBC on the need to come there, as part of collaboration to enlighten the public, on the importance of monuments and sites and the need to protect our cultural heritage. So those are the activities so far that have been lined up.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we just have to hang it at that. Thank you very much, Mrs. Evelyn Oswagu, Curator, Calabar Museums. Thank you, Madam, for your time on the show this morning.
Thank you.
And also Mrs. Stephen Azili, Head Research Department, and also Chairman 2021 Committee on International Day of Monuments and Sites. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
And not forgetting Mr. Joseph Dien, Head APU. Thank you, sir, for your time. And we hope to join you tomorrow.
Monday.
On Monday. Yeah, we hope to join you on Monday for the celebration